Hello, my dear friends. Hello, Rathika. Where can I see? Where can I see you guys? Come on. Hi, how are you, Arshita? Where are you from? Where are you from?
Khammam,
Huh?
Khammam, like Hyderabad side.
Hyderabad?
Yes, sir.
Oh, nice. How did you get to know about the classes that we are conducting?
Through the Telegram channel, sir. I already know when you are starting with English. Before the
Acha, okay. Hi, I guess you were consistently following up. At when is English
but
coming
I
up?
was unable to follow when you are coming on live, but I listened to the recorded.
You heard the recorded ones?
Yes.
Fantastic. So this is your second attempt?
Fourth attempts.
Fourth attempt. So you've already done classes. What is it?
Yes, sir. First attempt I took classes.
Then you took
Next
fast
one,
track.
sir.
Then you took fast track lectures.
No, sir. I just prepared on myself with taking test series and all.
Good. That's nice. Hope you will communicate the word. Are you there? Are you there in any groups or something like that?
Sir, which
Like I don't know, student forums or something like that. Please spread the message. That's it. And tell your friends.
oh, okay.
Okay. Good morning, Lakshmi. Good morning, Sneha. Good morning, Badrul. Good morning, Rathika. Let's start our vivas फटाफट से. Okay. Just a second, guys. Yeah. Let's start our vivas, guys. Okay. So, guys, yeah, we'll start with YouTube people. Okay. Badrul, tell me. Yesterday we did tax invoice, debit note, credit note. So yesterday we did a tax invoice per se. Good morning, Gaurav. Good morning. Right. Badrul, tell me. For example, if I'm a retailer and I don't want to keep issuing individual invoices every day, and I want to issue consolidated tax invoice, okay, as per 31(3)(b, what are the three conditions required for the same? One is recipient should be tell me, registered or unregistered? Badrul, I'm waiting for your answer. Correct, unregistered. Second is the value of supply should be less than 200 and the recipient should not ask for tax invoice. Correct. Okay. Second, with respect to revised tax invoice, we've already issued an original invoice, my dear friends. And now the thing is very simple. We are now supposed to issue a revised tax invoice, which will have GST number in it. So now the fact is that whom will you issue and when will you issue? Whom will you issue? Registered recipient. When will you issue? 1 month from the date of grant of RC. For which period will you issue? The date when you become liable to register, that is the effective date of registration, up to date of grant of RC. Acha, when will your effective date of RC, okay, when will your effective date of RC be date of becoming liable to registration? Only and only when you apply for registration within 30 days. Correct. But if the recipient is unregistered person, you don't need to issue individual revised tax invoice. Consolidated RTI is fine. But if the recipient is unregistered, there is interstate supply, value of supply is more than 2.5 lakhs, you will still have to land up issuing individual revised tax invoice consolidated will not work out. Second, my dear friends, very simple. What is it? Tell me. 31.3a is done, 31.3b is done, 31.3c. Tell me, what does an exempted supplier of goods or service, or for that matter composite supplier of goods or service, issue? What do they issue, guys? What kind of document do they issue? And tell me in short form, guys. Tell me in short form. Tell me in short, guys. Tell me in short. That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. It's bill of supply. Third, my dear friends. Tell me in third case what will happen. In case of advance, what do I have to issue? If I get advance, do I issue tax invoice or do I issue some other document?
Receipt voucher.
Yes, it's receipt voucher. Absolutely correct. Right. Then we have that in case I've taken up the advance, refunded and given the receipt voucher, and somehow I was not able to give any goods or service. So now I have to issue what? Because he will ask me for the advance because I have not rendered any goods or service. So he will issue what, my dear friends? Refund voucher. Perfect. Then we have the most important, self invoice and payment voucher. So in both the cases, one thing is definitely for sure, that recipient is a registered recipient where tax is payable as per RCM. Recipient is a registered recipient where tax is payable as per RCM, right? Either 9.3 or 9.4. Now understand, if the supplier is unregistered, recipient does not have tax invoice, so he will issue a self invoice on himself to Avail ITC at the time of receipt of goods or service, and as soon as he makes payment to the supplier, he will issue a payment voucher. But if the supplier is a registered person, he issues a tax invoice, so recipient does not have the requirement of issuing self invoice on himself because he already has a tax invoice, right? Perfect. Now the objective is very simple, my dear friends. The objective is that in this case, my dear friends, understand one thing, that the objective is that perfect, right? If the supplier is registered, in that case self invoice will not be issued by the recipient, but when the recipient makes payment to the supplier, he definitely issues payment. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Perfect. That's it. Okay. Now I hope you understand, my dear friends, that with respect to delivery challan, which are the three cases for delivery challan? One, when principal sends goods to job worker. Second, for reasons other than supply like sales return, or when goods are sent on approval for sale or return. Third, in case of liquid gas, right, which is not known at the time of removal, right? Correct. Then we have what? Yes, in case of transportation of passenger service, the ticket that they issue will be considered as an invoice. In case of multiplex theaters where they exhibit movies, the e-ticket that they give will be considered as tax invoice. And in case of banks and NBFCs, okay, the service provider is one, service recipient is one, but there are a lot of services that I'll be giving you. In that case, understand, it will be a consolidated invoice, right, which will be considered as a tax invoice, correct? Achha, one thing I wanted to ask you, that in the normal case of services, understand, you have to issue invoice within 30 days, and bank and BFC insurance हुआ तो 45 days. But what is proviso to 31? What is proviso to 31? Anyone? Proviso to 31. Come on. Anyone with proviso to 31 too? Come on, guys.
So if
it's an insurance or banking or telecommunication company.
Yes, there's telecommunication service, there's insurance, there's bank, there's NBFC. Then in that case, my dear friends, it's very, very, very simple. Okay, very, very, very simple. In that case, if one branch is providing service to the other branch, one branch is providing service to the other branch. Understand one thing. In that case, it's very important for you to understand that the time limit will be date when the supplier records service in his books of accounts, or expiry of the quarter in which service was supplied, whichever is earlier. That's it. And in case of continuous supply of service, where you are providing service for more than 3 months on a recurrent basis, in that case, my dear friends, it's extremely important for you to understand. It's extremely important for you to understand, my dear friends, that all you have to do is perfect. Tell me. 3 cases. 1. When the due date of payment is ascertainable. Simple. On or before due date of payment. If the due date of payment is unascertainable. Date of payment. And in case where the payment is linked to completion of an event. Then in that case, very simple, on or before date of completion of service. Is that very clear? Yes. Done. Okay. So more or less we covered the entire tax invoice part. Then we did e-invoice. What is the threshold limit for issuing invoice? 10 crores. In any preceding financial year from 17-18, the same for dynamic QR code is 500 crores. Okay, done. And then we did the exemption part of it as to who are exempted. But one important part for e-invoices, that if you receive e-invoice and if it does not have IRN, invoice reference number, it's of no use. You as a recipient will never get ITC. Is that very clear? Correct. Done. Okay. Okay guys. ठीक, that's it. Fantastic. Okay. Loved the participation. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for participating in huge numbers. Okay. Okay, done. That's it. Okay guys, now let's go ahead and understand that. Okay. What is ITC? What is ITC, my dear friends? Let's try and understand this. Very, very, very important. Also, guys, to wrap up things a little fast, I'm also considering to keep a lecture in the evening. So we can wrap up a little fast, and we can wrap up before the July ends. If that happens, it'll be great. By July you should be done with your GST. So in the evening also I'm thinking of having a class of 2.5 hours, so that we can really wrap up things a little faster. So फटाफट हो जाएगा. I feel we will prepone our things by at least a couple of days. 2 to 3 days, right? So let's do that. Okay, रात को भी मिलते हैं around 6 साढ़े 6 बजे. Let's meet up and then wrap up things accordingly. Okay, चलो फटाफट से अभी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट करते हैं, माय डियर फ्रेंड्स. ओके, now input tax credit is a very important and a pertinent chapter, understand, and the reason for the same is very simple, because it is the backbone of GST. Understand, it is the backbone of GST. Yes sir, I'll do that. Now let's start with input tax credit and we will do the debit note, credit note in the end. Okay, let's start with ITC. Let's start with a new chapter. Okay, it's a very small concept, nothing to worry about, so don't worry. Okay, yes. So guys, now the point is very simple. Okay, and that is what is ITC? Let's try and understand. So understand, if I'm a manufacturer, trader or a service provider, I'm a manufacturer, trader or a service provider, does not matter. Does not matter, my dear friends. Okay. Understand one thing. There are 3 things that you need to take ITC about: inputs, input service, and capital goods. You will get ITC for all of this. Understand one thing. You will get ITC for all of this. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Correct. Okay. So you can get ITC of inputs, input service, and capital goods. Inputs are the goods basically that you use which are other than capital goods. Input services are the services, and capital goods are something like a machinery, right? And all the businesses need some or the other in any case. And if you just prove 2 things, my dear friends, as per 16.1, if you just prove 2 things, one is that it is used in the course of business, that it is used in the course of business, and second, if you are a registered person, simple, it ends there. You have satisfied enough condition to avail ITC and you can get that. Okay, so 16.1 is a starter. Okay, it just says that, okay, be a registered person and use it in the course of business, end of discussion, you will get the ITC. Simple. Okay, now understand one thing, that then what does 16.2 come up with? What does 16 subsection 2 come up with? Right, it specifically mandates about the conditions over and above what 16.1 says, right? Now what are these conditions? What are these conditions? They are spread across. So initially there was 16.2a, B, C, D. Now they've, as per amendment, they have added 2 more sections, right? 2 more clauses rather, I'm so sorry. 16.2 AA and 16.2 16.2 Are you getting it? Yes. So that's A, AA, B, P, A, C, D. You condition all of these, fair enough. You can avail ITC, you can utilize ITC, but understand, with this it does not end. You have 2 more conditions attached which are related to payment. Okay, let's see what does that mean. Okay, and let's go ahead and understand what exactly those conditions are. Okay, very important, my dear friends. Let's start ITC. ITC, input tax credit, input tax credit. Okay, now understand one thing. When it comes to 16.2a, all they say is that listen, you need to have prescribed documents. To avail ITC, the first proof that you should possibly have is that you should have either of these documents. If you have them, fair, you take the ITC. If you don't have them, then you cannot avail ITC. The first step you should have is to have the appropriate document. Which are those? सबसे पहला tax invoice, then we have debit note, then we have revised tax invoice, then we have self invoice, then we have ISD invoice, which is to be done in CA final, and the last is, my dear friends, bill of entry. Bill of entry. Bill of entry is filed by importer. Bill of entry is filed by importer, and in that he shows that he's supposed to pay both BCD and IGST. And the reason why he should have bill of entry is so that importer can easily take ITC of imported goods or service ka IGST. Is that very clear? Yes. So bill of entry will help you to avail ITC of IGST. Okay. Others you already know what they are. Okay, debit note I will explain you further when we will proceed. Okay. Next. Now what is 16.2b? Let me talk about the traditional clauses first. A, B, C, D. Then I'll come to the amendment part. Now what is B part here, my dear friends? B part is very simple. B part says that listen, you should have receipt of goods or service. You should have receipt of goods or service. Do you get that, my dear friends? Yes. Yes. So only after you have received goods or service can you avail ITC. So should you have invoice? Yes. Should you have receipt of goods or service? Yes. Do you get it? Yes. Okay. Now there are two things apart from this. One is proviso and one is explanation. One is proviso and one is explanation. Now what is proviso and what is explanation? Let's try and understand. So when it comes to proviso, understand, we have already done this. If supplier, okay, sends goods to the recipient in lots or in installments, then understand, my dear friends, it's a very simple concept. It's a very simple concept. What? That recipient will get ITC. He will not be denied. He will definitely get, but only after receiving the last installment. Only after receiving the last installment. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes, sir. Okay, done. Next, explanation. This is with respect to bill to ship to model. Now, what do you mean by bill to ship to model? Very simple. In case of bill to ship to model, my dear friends, all you need to understand is that if Mr. A orders Mr. B to deliver goods to Mr. C, so A orders B to deliver it to Mr. C. Understand one thing. If I have asked Bhanu Pratap to send goods to K. Sarla, then understand Bhanu Pratap will bill me. Because I have given him the order. I have told him that do this, and he's like, listen, I've already done that. I've delivered the goods where you have told me. Now you pay me because you ordered me and I know you, because I have received order from you. Exactly like that. Okay, B will bill to A. B will bill to A, and on behalf of A, he will ship to C. So B will bill to A, ship to C, bill to A, ship to C, bill to A, ship to C, or bill to A, ship to C. Is that very clear? Yes. Okay. Now understand that B is also charging GST to A. And A obviously wants ITC for the same, because understand, he's purchasing it from B and selling it to C. So A will raise invoice on C. So A obviously needs ITC. But understand, he also does not have receipt of goods, because who has received it? C. And why was it? Because simple, B was in Mumbai, C was in Mumbai, A was from Delhi. So there is no point asking B to bring goods all the way from Mumbai to Delhi and then Delhi to Mumbai. What the hell? If there is any packaging to be done, just A should just ask B, okay, this is the packaging, you do it and just deliver it. I will pay you for the same. Simple. So understand, now the issue is that A has not received goods, but A needs ITC. Will that happen? Yes. Because it will be deemed considered that when C receives goods, it is deemed that A has received goods. As soon as C receives goods, my dear friend, C receives goods, it is deemed that A has received goods. Do you get that, my dear friends? Yes. And on that explanation, A will also get the ITC. Is that very clear? Yes. Right? So that's it. Then comes 16 to C. 16 to C, very simple. Supplier has supplied goods or service to the recipient. Now understand that recipient has made the payment to the supplier, 11,80,000. Now in case supplier does not pay tax to government, understand one thing, recipient cannot take ITC, because government is having a very logical argument. Government says that, listen, I have not received money from the supplier. I completely understand, recipient, that money has got out of your pocket and you have given it to the supplier. Supplier has not given it to me, but understand, I have not received money. That's the bottom line. I have not received money. That's the bottom line. So if I have not received money, how can I reimburse you for an amount which I have not received? Right? I can reimburse you for something I have received, but supplier has not paid me the money. And which is why, my dear friends, all I want to tell is, supplier does not pay tax to government. Simple. Recipient cannot avail ITC. So if the recipient wants ITC, supplier has to make sure that he pays tax to the government. Only then recipient will get ITC. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Okay. And the last is 16 to D. It says that, listen, recipient, do you want ITC? Yes. Make sure that you reflect the ITC, okay, while you are filing this return called GSTR 3B, which is summary of outward supply, inward supply, output tax, input tax. Simple. Is that very clear? Yes. So these are the 4 conditions which have been the traditional conditions of ITC 16 to A, B, C, D, or A, B, C, D, or A, B, C, D. A है documents, B is receipt of goods or service, C is payment of tax by supplier to government, and D is that recipient should reflect the ITC in GSTR 3B. Is that very clear? Yes, sir. Now, coming to the amendments. Okay, my dear friends, coming to the amendments. 16 to AA and then 16 to BA. 16 to AA, 16 to BA, 16 to AA, 16 to BA. Okay, now 16 to AA says very simple things. It says that, listen, supplier needs to file GSTR1. Acha, what is GSTR1? Details of outward supply. Details of outward supply. where you have to give details of outward supply. Okay, so whatever supplies you made in the April, you have to give that details of outward supply 11th of the next month. 11th May, you have to give the details. Got it? So if supplier gives the detail in GSTR1 for all the outward supplies that he has made, right? Understand, if recipient is a registered person, recipient must have purchased goods or service. So this will be this data will be reflected. This data of inward supply will be reflected in recipient's GSTR to be form. Okay, and it will be reflected in a way that it will auto-populate. It will auto-populate. It will be auto-generated. So as soon as supplier files GSTR1, recipients to be will definitely show inward supply. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Is that very clear? Correct. So this should happen. This should happen, my dear friends. Okay, where supplier clearly has GSTR1 outward supply and recipient at his end. Okay, the inward supplies are shown in GSTR2B. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's the only thing I want to comment on. Okay, because and understand, if he does not show, if the supplier does not show outward supply, he has made the supply, but he does not show it in GSTR1, then understand, recipient will not see in his 2B, and because of that, understand, he will not get ITC. Yeah? So that's how important it is for supplier to show his outward supply in GSTR1, so that it's auto-populate in recipient's 2B, and on the basis of that, he can take ITC in 3B. Are you getting it, my dear friends? Are you getting it, my dear friends? Yes, that's it. So that is extremely important, my dear friends. Okay, done. Done. Okay, that is GSTR2. Now, surprise. Now you would be seeing that in GSTR2BA, what is mentioned? That if details of ITC in respect of the said supply communicated to registered person has not been restricted under section 38. So whatever ITC you are seeing in 2B, section 38 is nothing but commenting about the form GSTR 2B. So whatever ITC you can see in 2B, which is a result of supplier filing outward supply in his GSTR 1, right? This should not be restricted. This ITC that you are seeing in 2B should not be restricted in any nature. So now what government has done is, it has given these 6 points where restrictions can happen. But understand that they have just mentioned the restriction. They have not mentioned its time limit or due date, right? Everything is at the end of the day left to prescribed all the more, prescribed even more, prescribed one more, and prescribed last. So do you realize that it is still yet to be prescribed? It is still yet to be prescribed. It is not prescribed anymore. It is yet to be prescribed. It is not prescribed anymore, my dear friends. And which is why all I want to tell you, my dear friends, is that you go through this once, but at the end of the day, all you need to remember is that in 16.2BA, it states that you can avail ITC only if your ITC under section 38 is not restricted. That's all you need to remember. That's it. That's it, Sneha. Yes, prescribed. So you don't need to remember this. Don't worry. Okay. So this is just given you for the sake of it, right? But you don't need to remember this. Just go through it once. No one will ask you to write section 16.2BA because it's yet to be prescribed. So government has just kept it for safety. Say if tomorrow they want to prescribe anything, they will enter through 16.2BA. ठीक है, that's it. Okay, done. Now there are two things that you need to remember. One is rule 37A and second is proviso to 16.2. Now what does rule 37A say? Rule 37A says does not furnish GSTR 3B, okay, for which he has furnished GSTR 1 till September. Now what do you mean by that? So I'll tell you what used to happen, right? Understand one thing, how recipient used to avail ITC for tax which was never deposited by supplier to government, right? So what happened is that supplier used to supply goods or service, correct? And supplier used to file the details of the same in GSTR 1. Okay, in GSTR 1. Simple. Got it? They filed outward supply ka details. Obviously, now recipient will be able to see this inward supply ka detail in 2B, okay, in S2B, GSTR 2B, correct? That's it. That's it. Correct. Now, what supplier used to land up doing is that he didn't used to reflect the same outward supply in 3B. So he has showed it in 1. Why? So that recipient, okay, recipients 2B, the data is auto-populated. And understand, all the conditions were satisfied. He used to get invoice, he used to receive goods or service. Simple. There is GSTR 1 2B, right? And recipient used to show it in take ITC of the same, right? Now understand one thing, what used to happen is that there is no way to confirm for the recipient that supplier has paid the tax. There is no way. Especially if he has filed GSTR 1. So if supplier has filed GSTR 1, supplier recipient के 2B में आ जाएगा. And once you have it in 2B, recipient will assume that obviously if he has filed GSTR 1, he will also land up paying tax in 3B, right? But there is no way to confirm that. And recipient will also not keep calling his suppliers that have you paid tax, have you paid tax, have you paid tax. It is assumed that he has paid tax. So understand that 16.2A gets satisfied. He has the goods, he has the invoice. Understand that 16.2C which states that supplier needs to pay tax. Now that cannot be confirmed, understand. Recipient cannot confirm that, right? So you used to assume that this is also satisfied. And recipient would, okay, reflected in 3B. Simple. And as per 16.2AA, supplier has furnished it in 1, so recipient के 2B में आ गया है. Now understand that for recipient all the conditions have been satisfied. For recipient all the conditions have been satisfied, so he would take ITC. But the matter of fact is that supplier has never showed this liability in 3B. And that is where it matters, because that is where you land up paying tax and he has not paid the tax to the government. Now recipient does not know this because there's no way to tally that. Like 1 and 2B, there's nothing with respect to 3B. If he pays, it's good. If he does not pay, recipient does not get to know about it. So now what has happened is that knowingly or unknowingly, recipient has taken ITC. Recipient has taken ITC. And government has also not restricted him. So this is how recipient used to take ITC and never tell the supplier anything, because according to recipient, he is still under the impression that supplier must have paid tax because he has showed it under 1 GSTR 1, and that's how things went wrong, and a lot of fake ITCs were claimed. Okay, where supplier has not deposited tax with government but still recipient has taken ITC, right? So now government has inserted one more condition saying that, listen boss, if you have shown your outward supply in GSTR 1 or invoice furnishing facility, this IFF we will do in QRMP scheme. Right now focus on only GSTR 1, right? So if you have shown in GSTR 1 but not furnished the same in GSTR 3B, GSTR 3B, right? By 30th September of the following of the end of financial year, right? Till the 30th September following the end of financial year. Understand, if this transaction happened in April 23 and by next, that is by 30th September, by 30th September of the next financial year, understand, if he does not pay tax and file the details in GSTR 3B, then recipient who has already availed ITC in the month of April, that is basically on 20th May, he will have to reverse ITC on or before 30th November. On or before 30th November. So if supplier does not furnish in 3B, recipient will have to reverse his ITC. He cannot avail it. If he has availed it and utilized it, he will have to pay in cash. Because the benefit that he has taken, he was not supposed to take it, but he has still taken it. He was not supposed to take it, but he has still landed up taking it. And which is why, my dear friends, in this scenario, recipient have to reverse the ITC. Got it? Correct. Next condition is with respect to payment. So I understand one thing, that recipient will have to pay to the supplier. What? Value plus tax. Okay, so I have supplied goods or service 10 lakhs plus GST 1.8. So recipient will have to pay the amount for the same, right? So if he pays full, he gets full ITC. If he pays half, he gets half ITC. So instead of 1 lakh 80, he will get 90 because he has not paid 5. He has not paid 10. He has paid only 5. Correct? That's how it is, my dear friends. Okay. Now, understand one thing, that government says that, listen, what is input tax credit? Where from your pocket, while purchasing goods or service, GST is gone. GST has gone. Or GST has gone. So to make sure that the GST that is gone at the time of purchase does not form part of your cost, and you get the reimbursement, government has given you ITC. So why government has given recipient ITC? So that the input tax that is paid on purchase does not become part of cost. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. It does not become part of cost. Now understand that here, if supplier has given goods or service, recipient, understand, has not paid up any, but he still takes ITC. Now that is incorrect, no friends? That is incorrect, no friends? Why is it incorrect? Why is it incorrect, Bala? Why is it incorrect? Because you have not incurred input tax. You have not incurred input tax, but you are still availing ITC. That is incorrect. That is incorrect, and that is not what is, my dear friends, advisable. Advisably, that is not, you don't deserve that credit. You deserve a reimbursement when you have incurred one. If you have not incurred, there is no reimbursement because there is no input tax incurred from my end. So why is there any reimbursement? So government said, listen, it's very important that as a recipient, you make payment to the supplier, both for value and tax, within 180 days. If you do it within 180 days, good. The ITC that you've already availed, it will get confirmed. So for example, if this recipient purchased the goods or service on 1/4, he can avail the ITC on 20th/5 when he files the GSTR 3B. But my dear friends, understand, he has to pay the goods and purchases, the goods and services that he has purchased, he has to pay for the same. Okay, on let's say 27th September. So here is where 180 days complete. If I'm not wrong, it's either 27 or 28 of either of the days. Okay, 180 days from date of issue of invoice, and date of issue of invoice I consider at 1/4, for example. So from 1/4, the 180 days get completed on 27 September. So before that, please take the ITC. Before that, please make the payment. Before that, please make the payment. So let's say he makes the payment on 1/9. Then government says that, listen, the ITC that is already taken on 20th/7, the ITC that is already taken on 20th/5, not 20th/7, 20th/5, then in that case, my dear friends, the ITC that is already taken will be confirmed. Got it? Yes. But if he does not pay by 27/9, then the ITC that is availed will be reversed, because it will be considered that he has secured wrong ITC. It will be considered as that he has secured wrong ITC. Right? He does not deserve that, but he has still taken that, because what government assumes is that if he has not made the payment within 180 days, he will never, ever make it in his life. Because 6 months are more than enough for anyone and everyone to pay value and tax amount to the supplier. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes, it is more than enough for anyone to do that. So government assumes he's not going to do that. So government then says that, listen, you've taken ITC, you've not made the payment. Listen, how can that happen? How can you take reimbursement of something that you have not incurred? Which is why, since you have taken the benefit, not incurred, reverse the benefit. Simple. And what is that benefit? ITC. Is that very clear? Yes, sir. Correct? That's it. How will you reverse it? By debiting the e-credit ledger. Right? So you have credit balance there. Now we will debit that to that extent. Okay? Done. So friends, these are the conditions that were for 16.2. 16.2a, double A, B, BA, C, D. 16.2a, documents. 16.2b, receipt of goods or service. 16.2c, supplier has to pay tax. 16.2d, GSTR 3B mein you will reflect ITC. 16.2 AA, supplier will file GSTR 1, okay, whose inward supply will be reflected in GSTR 2B. Right? 16.2 BA, there are, if you can avail ITC only if there are no restrictions under section 38, right? On that ITC that you can get to see in GSTR 2B, correct? And the last is, my dear friends, there are two conditions: that recipient has made payment to the supplier of both value and tax, within 180 days. Okay. And 37A is that supplier, if he has already shown output tax liability and outward supply in 1, he needs to show it in 3B. If he does not show in 3B by 30th September of the next financial year, recipient has to reverse ITC for the same by 30th November of the next financial year. ठीक है? अच्छा, इसमें प्रोविजो में याद रखना, there are 3 exceptions. Understand that what was recipient supposed to pay? Value and tax. Now what if the tax is payable as per RCM? Will recipient still pay tax to supplier? No, because supplier will only issue an invoice that has consideration and not tax amount, because here the tax will be paid by the recipient. This condition does not happen when supplies are made where tax is payable as per RCM. Second, deemed supplies. Yes, there is a concept of deemed supply under section 71C under the chapter supply, where there is activity without consideration. So even if there is supply without consideration, it is deemed supply, and in that case there is no consideration involved. Recipient is not expected to pay anything to supplier with respect to consideration. Simple. You cannot term that as non-payment of consideration, and which is why you cannot avail ITC. No, there is no consideration involved, but still it is deemed supply. Still GST will be charged, and still ITC will be taken. Okay? And the last is very interesting, where additions are made to supplier's liability under 15(2)(b). So here what happens is, if you remember 15(2)(b), there is a supplier, there is a recipient. There is a supplier, there is a recipient. Okay, simple, understand. Lakshmi, I am coming to your doubt. Yeah, where was I? So here understand that supplier has supplied goods worth rupees 10 lakhs, but he tells to the recipient that you pay me 5 lakhs, but you pay to Mr. X, my vendor, another 5 lakhs. So understand, recipient has only paid 5 lakhs to supplier. So that will not amount to, understand, that will not amount to part payment. Got it? It will not be said that he has only made payment of 5 lakhs and he has made part payment, so he will get only part ITC. No, he will get full ITC, because for this 5 lakhs, this condition of 180 days does not apply. Okay? Yes. So just understand one thing, that it will be as good as considered that it is payment made in full, not part. So he will get the ITC, because understand, when supplier issues invoice of 10 lakhs, the supplier issues invoice of 10 lakhs, charges GST 1 lakh only. Got it? Now, even though recipient makes payment of 5 lakhs and supplier asks the recipient to make payment of 5 lakhs to the vendor, doesn't matter. Recipient will get full ITC of 1 lakh. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. 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 Got it? Yes. Now, we will wrap up 16.3 and 16.4. Very simple. 16.3, my dear friends, only talks about the fact that if you've taken depreciation on the tax component of capital goods, if you've taken depreciation on the tax component, not on the capital goods component, on the tax component, then only you will not get the ITC. So you can take depreciation on the machinery, but you cannot take the depreciation on the tax component of machinery. If you take that, no ITC. For example, understand, if there is a capital goods for 100 lakhs on which GST is at the rate 10%, life is 3 years. Sorry, 10 years. in this case, what will happen, my dear friends? Understand. Capital goods 100 lakhs. There are two ways in which the entries can be passed. Capital goods 100 lakhs, ITC 10 lakhs, to cash bank 110 lakhs. Capital goods 110 lakhs, to cash bank 110 lakhs. So in this case, understand, I have not capitalized the tax component. I have separately recognized it as an asset. And here I have capitalized the tax component, which is why the GST's component is capitalized. It forms part of capital goods ka cost. So understand, here if there is a depreciation, it will be on 100 lakhs divided by 10 years, and here it will be 110 divided by 10 years. So here what will happen, my dear friends? Tell me. Arey, tell me. It will be 10 lakhs. And here it will be 11 lakhs. So do you realize that here you have taken depreciation on 100 plus 10? And what is this 10? What is this 10? The tax component. So have you taken depreciation on the tax component? Yes. And hence you have not availed ITC. But if you don't take it on tax component, then you can take ITC. Got it? Yes. So all you have to do is just check. For example, tell me one thing. If I purchase a machinery for 50 lakhs, where GST is at the rate 10%, 5 lakhs. Tell me one thing. If I capitalize it to 55 lakhs, tell me one thing. Will I get ITC or not? Tell me. Tell me in the comment section. Will I get ITC or not? No. But if I capitalize only 50 lakhs, then yes. So this is how it will be asked in the exam. Okay. This is how it will be asked in the exam, guys. Okay. That's it. And the last is 16 subsection 4. This is also an important section which talks about time limit to avail ITC. So understand one thing, that supplier has supplied goods or service in the month of April, right? Now recipient has satisfied all the conditions of 16(2). A, B, C, D, double A, B, A, sub, proviso, sub, everything is done, right? But understand one thing, recipient has still not taken the ITC. Recipient has still not taken the ITC, as in कि उसने 3B में नहीं दिखाया है. He has not showed it in 3B. He has not utilized it. He has not availed it. Sorry, not utilized. He has not availed it on the first place. So it is standing there in 2B, but he has not taken it in 3B yet, right? To understand one thing, okay, that you can do that only and only within a certain time limit. So the benefit available to you will be for a certain time limit. So compliance has to be done in a certain way. Compliance has to be done within a certain time limit. Simple. Got it? And that time limit is, my dear friends, recently changed. Initially it was 20th October of the next financial year, right? But now it's changed to 30th November, in which financial year such invoice or debit note pertains. And second is annual date of filing annual return, actual date of filing annual return, whichever is earlier. Got it? So before filing annual return or 30th November, whichever is the earlier event, you can avail ITC, right? So a lot of times what happens is, guys, understand one thing, that let's say for example recipient has misplaced his invoice, right? Yeah, for example his accountant must have received the invoice in April, but somehow he misplaced it and he discovered it in the next financial year. Now he wants to avail ITC, right? Can he do that? Yes, but before 30th November. Got it? He can do that. He can rightfully do that. But if he misses out the deadline, end of discussion. That input tax does not become input tax credit, but it becomes input tax cost. Is that very clear? Yes. That's it. 16 subsection 4. That's what it is, my dear friends. That's what it is. Okay. So here I end section 16 subsection 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it? Yes. Now guys, understand 17.5 and the other section 18, they are a little tricky. So we will do one thing, we will take a short break. Of 15 minutes and get back after having some breakfast with some more energy. Okay? Yes. Okay guys, okay. How have you all been? Are you all done? चलो break हो गया है. Let's start. Come on guys, come on. Let's resume. चलिए शुरू करते हैं my dear friends कारवा with respect to GST. Okay, चलो. We are back. Yes, my dear friends, we are back with the bang. Chalo. Okay, let's start. So friends, here the objective is very simple. Understand one thing. Okay. So here the focus is on 17 subsection 5, where we are focusing on blocked credit, my dear friends. We are focusing on block credit. What do you mean by block credit, my dear friends? Very simple. Two things. That under no circumstance you will get ITC. Under no circumstance you will get ITC, my dear friends. So government has specifically stated that even if you prove that it is in the course or furtherance of business, you will still not get ITC. Are you getting it? Yes. Okay. First things first, motor vehicles. Now understand that the only case, my dear friends, that is covered under 17.5 is motor vehicle meant for transportation of passenger, where the seating capacity is up to 13 passengers. This is the only case covered under 17.5 where you will not get ITC. Why you will not get ITC? Because understand, government wanted to earn some GST from motor vehicle industry, from automobile industry. Understand, my dear friends? And in most of the cases, the person who's buying the car is the consumer of goods, right? Now, just because he says that, okay, I need this car to meet the customer, I need this car to meet my vendor, right? All of these stupid excuses. I need this car for my employee, nothing to it. By this, half of the industry, you will end up giving ITC and government will not be able to collect any GST from this, my dear friend. Understand one thing. Because understand that the recipient is giving that amount to dealer is giving it to the government, and again recipient is claiming ITC. There will absolutely no collection of GST from automobile industry, my dear friends. And understand, it's also extremely difficult to track for the government that whether that usage of car is personal or business, right? So what I will do is that I would want to have a personal car, but I will purchase it in the name of business, give the opposite person the GSTIN and take the ITC. So I will use it personally, but book it in the name of business, thereby making it for business purpose. And there is no way in which you can verify the use. you know. So government said that we are assuming this right away, that if there is any motor vehicle meant for transportation of passenger where the seating capacity is up to 13 passengers, period, you will not get the ITC. You will not get the ITC, boss. Simple. Sir, then what if the seating capacity is more than 13 passengers? If you are able to prove that it is in the course of business, yes, you will get the ITC. You will get the ITC. Sir, what if it is used for transportation of goods, like for example, it's a truck. So let's say HUL purchases a truck, for transportation of goods. Then in that case also you will get the ITC, because understand that the restriction is on whom? It's on passenger vehicle, not on goods vehicle. Goods पे नहीं है ये, passenger पे. Passenger पे है, my dear friends. Passenger पे. Is that very clear? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Next, my dear friends. Sir, but okay, you are saying motor vehicle meant for transportation of passenger where seating capacity is up to 13 passengers, correct? But sir, for example, someone like a car dealer, let's say he is purchasing a 2-seater Mercedes, selling it, purchasing, selling. Sir, in that case, so it is his business only, core business. The government said yes. I am giving you 3 exceptions. Even though they are motor vehicle meant for transportation of passenger where the seating capacity is up to 13, you will still get the ITC. You will still get the ITC. And that is with respect to 3 people. First is with respect to persons who are further supplying goods or who are further supplying such motor vehicle. Who are further supplying such motor vehicle. Example, कार डीलर या फिर रेंटिंग ऑफ मोटर व्हीकल सर्विस. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ पैसेंजर. इशारा किस बात की तरफ? टेल मी. नहीं, इट्स अप टू 13 बेटा. केसरला इट्स अप टू 13 including driver. Yes, let me make it clear, including driver. Okay, so passenger transportation of passenger service. So as you know that there are, so for example, if I have a car which is a Innova, and there are these places in small towns where from station to your destination or destination to station or for intercity, they will just do the business of transporting a passenger from one place to another and take a fare of the same. The last is imparting motor driving skills. Simple, something like Maruti driving school. So to teach driving, you need to have a car, and if you purchase that car, you will get the ITC. If you purchase the car to give in transportation of passengers, you will get the ITC. You purchase the car to sell the car or to give it on rent ahead, you will get the ITC, because your business is dependent on that motor vehicle, my dear friends. Your business is dependent on that. If you have the motor vehicle, you will do the business. Otherwise, you cannot do the business. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Acha, in this, one thing needs to be understood, my dear friends. Motor vehicle does not include, they specifically excluded trains, special purpose vehicles, and third is the most important, which you need to remember. It has been asked in case study based MCQs. 2-wheeler or 3-wheeler where the engine capacity is up to 25 cc. It is not a motor vehicle. So I would just like to say that if there is a 2-wheeler or 3-wheeler with an engine capacity, okay, up to 25 cc and more than 25 cc. Understand? Is it a motor vehicle? No, not a motor vehicle. So obviously, will it be covered under 17.5? No, not covered under 17. Will you get the ITC? Yes. But if it is beyond 25 cc, more than 25 cc, is it a motor vehicle? Yes. Will you get the, is it covered under 17.5? Yes. Will you get ITC? No. Considering it's a passenger vehicle. ठीक है, तो ये लिख देना, please write this down so that you have ample of clarity for the same. ठीक है, चलो okay, next, same is for vessel and aircraft, guys. If I purchase an aircraft, I purchase a vessel, no ITC. But understand, okay, what is outside the section 17.5? Understand? If I purchase it to supply it further, if I purchase it to give transportation of goods service, right? If I purchase it to give transportation of passenger service like any other airline or any other shipping company which is having a cruise, okay, or if I purchase it to impart training, I will get ITC. Okay, nothing rocket science, ऊपर जैसा ही है. And last is, okay, understand, I have purchased a motor vehicle or an aircraft or a vessel, so I will have to take insurance of that. I will have to do repairs and maintenance. I will have to do servicing. But understand, I will get the ITC of all of this only if I will get the ITC of the motor vehicle, aircraft or vessel. So understand that if I have purchased a motor vehicle, vessel or aircraft and I don't get ITC of these, then I also don't get ITC of the general insurance, repairs and maintenance and servicing of these. So you want ITC of this, you make sure that you get ITC of this. If you don't get ITC of this, you don't get ITC of this. So the ITC of this is dependent on this. Got it? मोटर व्हीकल का मिला ITC, ओके, उसका आपको repairs and maintenance, general insurance का भी मिलेगा ITC. You will get ITC of that also. Okay, so that's the third case. If you can see it properly, that's the third case, right? Third case. Now what about first and second? Okay, in the first case, my dear friends, they talk about manufacturer. So for example, I am Tata Motors. I am manufacturing motor vehicles. Will I get ITC of all of these three? General insurance, repairs and maintenance, servicing? Yes. Acha, what if I am Bajaj Allianz? Will I get ITC of general insurance service, repairs and maintenance service? Yes. Because the biggest expense of an insurance company is insurance premium. Yes, you heard me right. The biggest expense of insurance company is insurance premium. The income is also insurance premium. The expense is also insurance premium. That you have learned in your advanced accounting, my dear friends. Insurance premium, ceded insurance premium, given and taken. Are you getting it, my dear friends? Yes. Okay. ठीक है? Did you all understand this? This is correct? Nikita, all good? Fantastic. Okay. You have a fantastic, okay, Q&A on this. You can just do it, guys. It'll be really helpful. चलो एक मैं भी करवा देता हूँ. ओके चलो आ जाओ. ITC on cars purchased by a manufacturing company for official use of its employees. Will you get ITC of the same, guys? Come on, come on, come on. Will you get ITC for the same? Kesarla. Kesarla, whenever I remember your name, the first thing that comes to my mind is Kesariya Tera. Okay. No, beta, you will not get. Why? Because it is a car. And it is understood that the car will have a seating capacity of up to 13 passengers. And if there is nothing given, you will consider it is having up to 13 passengers. And you will not get the ITC on the same. Okay? Yes. Second. Nikita, batao.
Yes, sir, he will get
ठीक है.
ITC because it's for resale.
Yes. Further supply है, allow हो जाएगा. Next. Third वाला, just type A or B, that's it. Allowed या blocked, that's it. Third, ITC on cars purchased by a company engaged in renting out cars for transportation of passengers. Tell me, friends. Yes, it is allowed, beta, because it is for further supply. Got it? Next, fourth, ITC on cars purchased by a driving school. Yes, imparting motor driving skills. Fifth, ITC on buses with a seating capacity of 24 जन. होगा allowed? Yes, allowed, because it is more than 13. 16, ITC on trucks purchased by a company. Allowed or not allowed? Allowed, because it is transportation of goods. It's a goods vehicle, not a passenger vehicle. Goods vehicle पे बंदिश नहीं है, passenger vehicle पे. ITC on aircraft purchased by a manufacturing company for official use of its CEO. Again, not allowed. ITC on aircraft purchased by aviation school providing training on flying aircraft. Again, imparting skills, allowed. ITC on general insurance taken on car used by employees of manufacturing company. Now understand, is the ITC on car purchased for employees for a manufacturing company allowed? No. Right? So ITC on the general insurance of that car will be allowed? No. Blocked. 10th, is ITC on truck allowed? Yes. Is ITC on the RNM of truck allowed? Yes. Last. Is ITC allowed to manufacturer of cars? Normal manufacturer? No. But manufacturer of cars? Yes. Manufacturer of vessels? Yes. Manufacturer of aeroplanes? Yes. Okay, done. Next, always remember membership and travel. Okay, which membership are they talking about? Gym membership. Okay, so gym membership, membership of health and fitness center, all travel benefits. So, okay, understand that if HUL Limited pays for the gym membership of their employees, or it pays to Club Mahindra to send its employee to a travel holiday, the company HUL Limited will not get the ITC. Because a lot of times what used to happen, especially with these companies, was they used to go on personal trips and show it in the books as if they have gone with the purpose of a business trip. Got it? Now understand that the ITC of the same is allowed if it is mandated by law. So if doing such an expense is mandated by law, it's a statutory obligation that the company has to do this, then ITC is allowed. But if it's a company policy, then ITC is not allowed. Got it? Yes. Okay, something similar here. So renting of motor vehicle service, life insurance, health insurance, food and beverages, catering service, right? Cosmetic and plastic surgery. For all of this, ITC is not allowed. But if you are taking this service to give it ahead, yani for further supply. So I'm purchasing Pepsi to sell Pepsi. I'm taking catering service to give catering service. I'm taking the car on rent, give it on rent, ITC will be allowed. And understand, when I'm giving it on rent, whatever the outward supply is, understand, whatever the outward supply is, that outward supply can either be standalone or it can be bundled with something. For example, Indian Airlines is purchasing Pepsi. Why? Is purchasing Fruity. Why? Because along with the airfare, they are also giving a sandwich and a Fruity to their customers. So that's a mixed supply. That's a composite supply. Sorry. It's naturally bundled. ITC will be allowed. So either it's a DMart who purchases Pepsi to sell only Pepsi, ITC allowed to DMart, or it's Indian Airlines who purchases Pepsi, but does it sell Pepsi? No. It sells airline services, and along with that it has given food and beverages, ITC is allowed. At the end of the day, what is coming in should go out. Simple. Either as it is or either with something else, bundled with something else. Is that very clear? Yes. Next यहाँ पे क्या सीन है भाई? अच्छा, a normal taxpayer is purchasing goods or service. Understand? Is purchasing goods or service from compo taxpayer. तो क्या हो? ITC will be allowed? No. Because firstly, compo taxpayer does not even charge GST. Second, used for personal consumption. So if you are purchasing, no, not allowed. Obviously not allowed. Then you would be allowed ITC, no? And the last is, you have purchased goods, but they are stolen. They are given for free samples, disposed of. ITC is not allowed. Okay. यहाँ पे एक और पॉइंट ली दो, रिटर्न ऑफ. Okay. And last is NRTP. NRTP is non-resident taxable person, someone like a Justin Bieber who comes all the way from US to India, okay, sings song not from his mic but through lip singing in his chaddi and banyan, for which he charges 1 lakh rupees per ticket. He can come, he can make money, but he will have to register in that state where he is conducting that show and also charge GST. right? So if he brings along some goods with him, ITC is allowed. But if he's importing any service or he's purchasing any domestic goods or service, ITC is not allowed. So for NRTP, ITC is not allowed except import of goods. Remember it that way. And for NRTP, ITC is not allowed. ITC is not allowed except importation of goods. Okay, correct. Now it's just the last thing with 17.5 that needs to be done, which is very important. Works contract and construction on own account. Works contract and construction on own account. Okay. Okay, guys. What is works contract? What is works contract? Understand? So, for example, if I am a supplier and you are the recipient, and I supply you goods and services, I supply you goods and services, and the bifurcation of the same is not known to you. What does that mean? So I'm giving you cement also and labor also. Basically something called as construction service, right? Then in that case, it will be considered as I'm giving you works contract service, because for this construction service, if I'm charging you 100 crores, understand, then in that case, I have given you works contract service, because the bifurcation of 100 crores is not known to the recipient. Is it not known to the recipient, my dear friends? Okay. So whenever I'm giving you goods or service and the bifurcation of what amounts to goods and what amounts to service, this is not known to the recipient, it is called as works contract service, especially if it is in relation to immobile property. So for example, renovation, repairing, construction, installation, erection, everything amounts to works contract service. We will learn that when we do supply under section 7.1. Got it? Yes. Now understand one thing, that if I am, after 1 year of teaching in YouTube, my dear friends, understand one thing. If I am procuring works contract service and then rendering works contract service, okay, I'm sorry, not me, but let's say Oberoi Builders. Why? Because I had given them the job to build a coaching center. Yes. So I have asked them to build a coaching center. So here, understand, if I have taken works contract service for making my own immovable property, so for me it's an office. For HUL it may be a factory shed. For DMart it might be a godown. So if you are making your own immovable property, then you will not get ITC thing. But friends, Oberoi Builders will get ITC. Okay. So Oberoi Builders did not have the bandwidth. So they asked Hiranandani Builders that can you help me with this? Hiranandani said yes. So Oberoi said, okay, listen, I am receiving 100 crores. I will pay you 90 crores. But you finish this project. You finish this project. Got it? Yes. As simple as that. So is Oberoi building its own immovable property? No, it is building immovable property for me. Is that very clear? Yes. Correct. Next. Okay. The same things happens, my dear friends, when my CA told me that, okay, now in this case you will not get ITC, Mr. Karan. Then do one thing. You want to make your own coaching class? Do one thing. You yourself start procuring goods and service. You yourself start procuring goods and service. So you procure cement from Ambuja cement or Bangar cement. सस्ता नहीं सबसे अच्छा. Then you only go and speak to labor contractors, architects, civil engineers. You will get the ITC, and I used to get ITC, friends, because the restriction was only on procuring works contract service. Was I procuring works contract service? No. I was purchasing goods and service which is in the course of furtherance of business. So I used to get ITC, but once government saw this, that since I have closed this door, this mischievous fellow has opened this, so I will also close this door and I will not give him the ITC even if he is purchasing goods or service for its own immovable property. Are you getting it, my dear friends? Yes. Achha, but for both the cases where you are either taking or whether either you are taking works contract service or where you are either taking goods or service, if that immovable property happens to be plant and machinery, government said दोनों में मिल जाएगा ITC, you will get ITC in this scenario. Simple. Okay. Now understand what is plant and machinery. That is important to be understood. It says plant and machinery includes its foundation and structures. So if there is a machinery and there is a foundation to be made on which it will be installed, if this foundation also you have made it from someone, you will get the ITC. But most importantly, what does it exclude? It excludes three things. One, क्या होगा? क्या होगा? Land and building. दूसरा, pipelines laid outside the factory. If they're laid outside the factory, it is not a plant and machinery. ITC will not be allowed. But if it is in the factory, it is a plant and machinery, ITC will be allowed, right? And the last is telecommunication tower. Okay, so if you want, you can just write down inside the premises it is a plant and machinery, and hence ITC will be allowed. Got it? Yes. Yes. ठीक है. Okay. Now, last point, which is very important specifically for Q&A perspective. Understand one thing now. If there is this huge building, 100 crores का building है, okay? Tell me one thing. If I do some repairs and maintenance work with rupees 10,000 here, 10,000 rupees, some small repairs and maintenance I have done, some small painting here and there I have done, 10,000 rupees I have incurred on a building which is worth rupees 100 crores, right? Now what treatment will you give for this 10,000? Will you debit it in P&L or will you capitalize it in the machinery? क्या होगा निकिता?
Some machinery.
बोलो.
Machinery.
You will capitalize in the machinery.
Oh, sorry, wrong. So this is raw material for building now.
Raw material नहीं, repairs and maintenance.
Oh, then the P&L.
Beta, you will capitalize it only when there is an overhauling expense that increases the life of the building. Okay, here you will debit it in the P&L. So does that form a part of plant and machinery? No. So in this case it will just be considered as any other input service, and since it is in the course of business, you will get ITC. But understand one thing, if there is a building worth 100 crores, and there you will end up doing a repairs and maintenance expense of 10 crores, with which the life of this asset increases by 10 years, then in that case you will capitalize it. And since you will capitalize it, my dear friends, it will form a part of immobile property, and hence you will not get the ITC. Did you get it, my dear friends? Okay. So in case you have failed writing this, I'm giving you the notes. Please jot it down when I have given it in the Telegram group. But फिर भी I feel I have written here and it is very much clear. So yeah, make sure that things are clear at your end. Very important condition, my dear friends, very important. And I will tell you how the question is asked in the exam, okay, in according to this context. Something like this. Come on. Tell me, what will happen in the first case? Will you be allowed ITC? Will you be allowed ITC for the same, guys? Come on. Hey, yaar. चलो अब बताओ. Yes, because it is used in the foundation of such machinery. मिल जाएगा, because foundation of such machinery is, my dear friends, clearly a part of machinery. Second, it's excluded from the plant and machinery, hence ITC will not be allowed. Next, third, ITC allowed or blocked? Guys, come on, A or B, A or B, A or B, come on. ITC will be allowed because, my dear friends, it is a penal expenditure. It does not form part of own immovable property, and hence ITC will be allowed. In the fourth case, telecommunication company has availed services of works contractor for repairs of its office building. The company has capitalized expenditure. ITC on services shall be blocked because it forms part of own immovable property. Is that very clear? Yes. Okay, that's it. That's where we mark the end of 17 subsection 5. Okay, correct. Did everyone get it, guys? Did everyone get it? सही है, सही है, सही है, समझ में आ रहा है सबको? Everyone is understanding? शिवा शक्ति, बदरुल, show your thumbs up, show your thumbs up. Ratika, बिलीव यार, 2 घंटे ही हुए हैं. Okay, guys. Now the last thing that we're supposed to do is section 18. We're done with that. Simple. We're done with ITC. Okay. As simple as that. इतना छोटा चैप्टर है बेटा, क्या फालतू का टाइम पास कर रहा है तू इसमें? क्यों टेंशन ले रहा? Why are you taking tension? Okay. let's come to ITC now. Special cases of availing ITC, section 18, my dear friends. Section 18. Okay, tell me one thing. Now we have three things. Okay, one is 18.1a, B, C, D. Okay, 18.1a, B, C, D. Bolo A, B, C, D. Once again, Y, B, C, D. Absolutely correct. Okay. Now the thing is, my dear friends, when I say it's 18.1a, B, C, D, what do I mean is that here there are special cases of availing ITC. The bottom line here is, understand, initially you are an unregistered person. The bottom line is rather, initially you are not getting ITC. So you have added the GST to your cost. And now, all of a sudden what has happened is that you have started charging GST. So now when you are about to charge GST, you will charge GST on a input which has not taken input tax credit, which in fact has got added to your cost, and this leads to cascading. So to avoid this cascading, government has given ITC. Let's check out without wasting any time, my dear friends. First case first. Tell me, whenever there is a new case of registration, my dear friends, do you realize on 1/4 I start my business? On 1/10 I exceeded my turnover to 20 lakhs. So I am liable to register, either because of section 22 or 24, compulsory registration. Now understand that if I have taken registration within 30 days, then this will be the effective date of registration. This will be the effective date of registration. Got it? Yes. This will be the effective date of registration, my dear friends. Okay. Now understand one thing. A day before that, if you had any inputs, you will get the ITC of the same. And in case of capital goods, you will not get the ITC of the same. Acha, why is ITC availed in this case, or why is ITC allowed in this case? Very simple. Understand that any goods that I must have purchased from 1/4 to 30th 9, understand at that time I was unregistered person. Will I have taken will I be eligible to take ITC? No. Would I taken ITC? No. Now I have not taken ITC. But now the question is that if I don't take ITC, cascading will happen from 110, because now the GST, my input tax is part of cost. Cost will be a part of selling price, and while I am selling something, I am charging GST. That will lead to cascading. So government said inputs का मिल जाएगा, capital goods का नहीं मिलेगा. You will get the ITC for inputs, but you will not get the ITC for capital goods. ठीक है? Now similar fashion happened here. 18.1b. Okay, you have taken registration, but you have taken voluntary registration. So you are registered, but from 10/10 when you actually got the GST and so understand that from 1/4 when I start my business up to 9/10 I am unregistered person. I must have purchased goods, I must have not taken ITC, I must have added that GST to my cost, and then I would have sold it further. Then while I'm selling further, obviously that cost will form part of selling price. Selling price पे लगाऊंगा GST, cascading will happen. So government said here also you can take ITC. Okay, of what? Inputs. But capital goods, no, not allowed. Sorry. Okay. So understand in 18.1a and 18.1b, the common thing is that you will get ITC of inputs but not of capital goods. But all you need to take care of is that you focus which inputs and which capital goods as on which date are allowed. Your date of becoming liable, उसके एक दिन पहले, a day before that, और यहाँ पे grant of RC, उसके एक दिन पहले, a day before that. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. 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 Got it? Correct. Correct. (18.1c). So here, understand, from 1/4 when I started the business, 1/4 to 30th/9, I was a compo taxpayer. Not when I started the business. This is simple. That understand, this composition scheme. From day one, I was taking composition scheme 1/4 to 30th/9. Understand, I must have purchased goods. But as a compo taxpayer, does section 10 allow me to take ITC? No. So again, would GST be a part of my input cost? Yes. Now understand, I have exceeded 150 lakhs on 110. So now, will I start charging GST? Yes. Because now I will be covered under normal scheme? Yes. Will cascading happen? Yes. And which is why, again, to avoid that cascading, government has given ITC of inputs and capital goods. Inputs and capital goods. Both. Okay. But there is a certain way in which you can take ITC of capital goods, which I will explain you in some time. And the last, 18.1d. So initially what used to happen, guys, understand one thing. You can take ITC only if you can charge output tax. You can take ITC only if you charge output tax. Only if you charge output tax. Only if you charge output tax. So you want to save your pocket? Then make sure that you empty someone else's. If you can't, then it will be concluded that you will bear the burden of tax, period. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Yes. Samjha? Okay. That is the thing. Okay. Now understand. Very simple. Very, very, very simple. मिल जाएगा ITC. But if you will buy or purchase taxable goods or supplying exempted goods or service, you will not get the ITC. Got it? Got it? Because you don't have the scope of charging GST. Got it? Yes. Okay. Yes. So now what happened? What happened is that initially I was purchasing cloth to make a shirt. Now cloth was taxable, shirt was exempt. Cloth was taxable, shirt was exempt. So which is why? Which is why I did not get ITC. I did not get ITC. Hence the cloth that I purchased will be recorded at 11,80,000, 1,80,000 being GST. Why? Because when I purchased this, the shirt that I was about to sell was exempt. But then on 110, miracle, jadoo, the exemption got withdrawn. The exemption on shirt got withdrawn. So now there will be sale of shirt, but I will charge GST. And GST will be charged on shirt which has cloth which has in it input tax. Because while it was purchased, shirt was exempt. But while it is sold, it is taxable. So while the shirt was exempt, I had purchased, I had not taken ITC. Now that I'm landing up selling it, I will have to charge GST. And that will create cascading. That will create cascading. I hope you get that. I hope you get that. That's it. That's it, my friends. Okay. So all I want to tell you, my dear friends, is that here also this is the cutoff date. A day before that, inputs का ITC मिल जाएगा, capital goods का भी you will get it. But how much capital goods, I will explain. Thamba, wait. Okay, there are two things to be taken care of. First, okay, understand. If you are purchasing capital goods for 100 lakhs, GST is 10%. Date of invoice is 1/4/2023, right? And the date when exemption is withdrawn is, let's say, 1/1/2024, correct? Now you need to understand that which are the number of quarters, right? Yeah, for that matter, chalo, for example, यहाँ पे exemption is withdrawn के बदले you can keep this if you want to, right? Okay, composition scheme lapse. So how many quarters, you tell me, this capital goods were used under composition scheme? If on day 1/1/4 itself I had taken compo, right, and compo scheme lapses on 1/1, tell me for how many quarters did I use capital goods that was helping me produce goods which were taxable under compo scheme, as in terms of outward supply, I used to pay output tax 1% from my own pocket. Tell me how many quarters? 1, 2, 3, 4, how much? 3 francs, 3 quarters. Do you get it? Yes. So now understand, government says only to that extent I will reduce the ITC. Remaining, I'm assuming that the life you will use it under normal scheme, and hence you will get the ITC of the remaining amount. So you cut for 3, remain you get. Okay. So ITC is how much? 10 lakhs. 100 lakhs ka 10%, 10 lakhs minus 5% multiply by 3 quarters. So this is 15%. That makes it to 8.5 lakhs. Is that very clear, guys? Is that very clear, guys? Yes. Now I want you to help me with the same equation, but I'm changing the dates a little bit. अब बोलो, ठीक से है ना? अब बोलो। और अगर आपको करना है तो ये, अगर आपको थोड़ा समझ में आता है तो ऑल्सो रेफर दिस इफ पॉसिबल. This line Okay, tell me how many quarters?
So can you please zoom out?
3, 4, 5, how much?
So can you please zoom out?
Huh?
Can you please zoom out?
Zoom out.
Thank you, sir.
How many? Understand. You will not count from 31 3 while you are counting, you will count from 1 4. Count from the next day. So that will form part of the first quarter for 22, 23, 24. तो एक होगा जून क्वार्टर, सितंबर, and then that's it. 2 quarters. Here you will end a day before, so you will end on 30th night. So though the dates are that and you have to write that only, but while calculating in your mind, you will make sure that you are counting from the next day. There's a superb logic behind this, because government says that listen, just because understand this is on the last day. For this, I will not take into account the entire quarter for one day. And here also understand there is just one day that new quarter has started. So government said it ended a day before. I will not again do the harassment of calculating the entire quarter. Okay, just because of one day. So count from the next day, end a day before. Count from the next day, end a day before. So 10% will be reduced. And clearly 9 lakhs. Perfect, Bala. Okay? Perfect. So you are aware about this. Now 18-2 wala condition. Very important, very important, very important. This is 18-1B, not 6. Now understand that in some cases I am allowed to take ITC of inputs. In some cases I am allowed to take ITC of both input and capital. Got it? Correct? Now, what government has said is that these capital goods or inputs should not be older than 1 year from date of invoice. Got it? It should not be older than 1 year from the date of invoice. तो परचेज किया वहां से क्या 1 साल पुराना नहीं होना चाहिए. Before that only you should take ITC. Okay. So I have a classic example for this, and I really would want you to solve it so that I can get clarity that you have clarity. Go ahead. Go and jump. Okay, but I'll teach you how. Once, just a second, I'll teach you how. Let me tell you. Let's say if the date of invoice is 1/4/2023. 1 year ends on 1/4/2024. Correct? Now I should be taking ITC before 1/4/24. So if I have taken ITC on 1/1, allow. 1/12/23 allowed, but I cannot take ITC on 1/5, 1/6, 1/7. Nah. This is the last date. Got it? This is the last date. Right? Go ahead. Now do it. First tell me one thing. Which section will apply? 18(1)(a), B, C, D. Second, whatever applies, tell me किसका ITC मिलेगा, inputs or capital goods or both. And third, you tell me किसका ITC नहीं मिलेगा amongst the three things. This, and this. Okay, sure. First determine which section will apply. Come on, 18(1)(a), B, C, D. Just type A, B, C, D. Come on, Bala. ओके डन. चलो पहले का मिलेगा गाइस. सबसे पहले which section will apply? Correct, 18(1)(a. How do I say that? Liable वाला scene है. So 18(1)(a) will apply. In 18(1)(a) will you get ITC of inputs or capital goods? Only and only inputs. So capital goods not possible, boss. Okay, now understand 1/4/21. Okay, you have this date. Got it? So you are availing ITC on this date. Understand this thing. You become eligible because you have got registered now. Right? So you take ITC when? So from unregistered to registered, when you become liable. In case of voluntary, when I get the registration number. In case of compo, when compo scheme lapse. In case of exempted to taxable, when exemption is withdrawn. I take ITC on that date. Now compare this date with 1 year from this. So 1 year is 1/1/2022, and I have taken in 21 only. It is well within the time limit. Second wala 1/2/20, 1/2/21, 1/2/21. So by February I should have taken, but I've taken on April, not allowed. And C wala 1/10/21, 1/10/20, 1/10/21. So till October I can take ITC, but I've already taken in the month of April. Are you getting it? Yes. That's it, my dear friends. Okay. And that's it. So I will take for 13 lakhs, which is actually 3 lakhs, because it's inclusive of GST, and here I will take it as 1.6. That's 4.6 lakhs as ITC. But what if I tell you? That there is a twist in the tail, and on 1/4/21, instead of being liable, government had withdrawn the exemption? Then which section will apply? 18(1)(a), B, C, D. Which one? Is that very clear, guys? Yes. Then will I get ITC of capital goods? Yes. Got it? Yes. Okay, that's it. Achha. One last and small thing about 18(1)(d, my dear friends, which a lot of people fail to remember, fail to understand, and fail to even note. Very important, something very enlightening, and that will awake you. And that is that while this transition is happening, while your exemption is withdrawn and your goods become exempt, say taxable. So when this transition is happening, understand, you should be a registered person. Your status should be of a registered person. So when you are a registered person, your goods that you are selling has become exempt or taxable. And while this transition going, if you are a registered person, only then 18(1)(d) will apply. But if you are an unregistered person at that juncture, then 18(1)(a) will apply. And I will give you a classic example of that in your own Q&A book. Come to Mamta. Come to Mamta. Question 9. Mark question 9 and 8 there. Okay, in 18(1)(d), 8 and 9. Mamta trade link trades in two goods. One is money goods and services, exempted goods and taxable service. तो दो काम कर रहे हो, exempted भी बेच रहे, taxable भी बेच रहे. It is registered under GST law. On 1st October itself, the exemption available on its goods gets withdrawn. Analyze the scenario and determine the eligibility of Mamta trade links for availing ITC if on inputs and capital goods used in the supply of exempted goods. Tell me what will happen. Will 18(1)(d) apply or 18(1)(a)? Fantastic. Fantastic. Come on, keep replying, guys. 18(1)(d). Because you are a registered person. Did you get it? So you will also get ITC of both inputs and capital goods. Okay. But what about question 8? Bhabla Enterprise is exclusively engaged in making exempt supply of goods and thus is not registered under GST law. On 1st October, the exemption available on its goods get withdrawn. On that day, the turnover of Bhabla was 50 lakhs. What will happen in this case? 18(1)(a). Do you realize, my dear friends, that if you are only and only exclusively supplying exempted goods or service, you are anyway is not registered. Will you ever collect tax? No. Will you ever pay tax? No. Will you ever take ITC? No. So neither you have to pay to the government, neither you have to receive something from the government. Simple. Why will you register? And there is a section called section 23 in the under registration chapter, which categorically states you are exempted from registration if you are exclusively supplying goods or service which are exempt. So here first understand, aggregate turnover 50 lakhs, which was up till now exempt, but now it is taxable. So here he is liable to register because up till now he was not registered. So now he is liable. So 18(1)(a) and only inputs का मिलेगा ITC. Do you get it, my dear friends? Yes. Yes. Okay. Fantastic example. Beautiful example. Okay, worth noting things, worth noting. And I've categorically, if you have done a black and white printing, I don't know about that. The color printing, I've specifically done this. Registration person, I have done some research and I've highlighted that part. Okay. And here, ये by mistake से cross हुआ है ये. Don't score it out. This is a value information. Don't score it out, it's valid. And here also I've given you this synopsis. I hope this helps. Question 8, question 9. Okay. Okay, 18.3, my difference is very simple. That, for example, if A Limited and B Limited, think of merging into AB Limited, the unutilized ITC of A Limited and the unutilized ITC of B Limited now becomes unutilized ITC of AB Limited, subject to condition that if there is any liability of A and B Limited, it also happens to be the liability of AB Limited. Got it? Yes. Only if there is transfer of liability, there will be transfer of asset. Okay, this is a small example that you can refer, right, on how things happen. Achha. Now, my dear friends, we are basically doing reversal of ITC. Frankly speaking, 18.4 and 29.5, I'll just tell you the circumstances and help you with this to understand when you were an unregistered person and then you became registered. When initially you were in compo, then you became normal scheme. Initially your goods were exempt, now they are taxable. In all these cases, 18.1 shall apply. Then you are availing ITC. But have you ever thought that if a registered person becomes unregistered because he has cancelled his RC, or the proper officer has cancelled his RC, or initially you were in normal but now you want to go for compo, or initially your shirt was taxable but now your shirt is exempted. In this case, 18.4 applies and 29.5 applies. 29.5 in this case and 18.4 in this case. Here you don't avail, you reverse. That you have availed. Got it? That you have availed. You reverse that because you don't deserve it, because now you are not going to charge GST ever, because either you are a compo, either your goods or services are exempt, or either you are unregistered for lifetime. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Next, my dear friends, what I wanted to ask you is that, so whatever they have given the formula, just go through it. Frankly, they have never asked in the exam and they will never will, right? So don't focus on that much, just focus on the formula and just rush through it. 18.6 is of really big importance. That can be asked in the exam. So what happens here is that I had purchased plant and machinery which had a life of 5 years. Now I sold that plant and machinery within just 1 year. So I sold it off within 1 year. Now understand, government says you will get ITC how much ever you have used. So if you have used for how much? 5 years, 5 years ITC. Full ITC you will get. If you have used only for 1 year, then you will get only 20% of the ITC, right? Considering the life is 5 years. So government said that, okay, if you don't use it fully, then you will have to reverse the ITC. Now, how much is the reversal rate? How do you reverse it? Something which you already know. ITC minus 5% per quarter or part thereof, or transaction value multiplied by rate of tax, whichever is higher. But in case there is molds, dies, jigs and fixtures, you will not compare it with the ITC. You will directly multiply transaction value multiplied by rate and directly say that this is the amount payable by the taxpayer. Okay. I will just give you a small example on this. You can help me solve and then we can wrap it up. Correct? Understand the 1 year condition is not applicable in reversal, na, please. It's only in availment. Always remember. ठीक है. Done. That's it. Tell me क्या होगा. ITC कितना है? कितना होगा बताओ. क्वार्टर्स कितने होंगे? 6 quarters. No, it is not molds, digs and fixtures बेटा. It is not molds, digs and fixtures. 2 quarters कैसे होगा भाई? अरे 1423 है, 1424 नहीं है धवल. 6 होगा ना. We start from 1423, so 6 quarters, no? ट्रांजैक्शन वैल्यू कितना है? मल्टीप्लाई बाय done. Okay, and in this case if it would have been only molds, dies, jigs and fixtures, then क्या होता? सीधा PV multiply by rate. That would have been 80 lakhs multiplied by 10%. In that case also it would have been 8 lakhs only. Okay, then that's it. So that marks the end of my dear friends ITC. Yes, done something great today my dear friends. It was something good. It was something good, right? Pretty happening. Today we are meeting again. When are we meeting, sir? When are we meeting, sir? We are meeting at 6:30. Okay, so 6:30 to 8:30 we will have a lecture where we will mostly finish off payment of tax. Okay, done. So then my dear friends, okay, if I am not wrong, what are we done with? Introduction, Pumpo, tax invoice, time of supply, value supply, payment of tax, etc. Okay, fair enough. Then we have okay, exemptions, station supply. So day after, so tomorrow we will do exemptions. Tomorrow we will do exemptions, friends, right? And mostly exemptions will done in 2 parts. So we will have 2.5 hour lecture, right? Subah 2.5 hours, sham ko 2.5 hours, and we will finish it off that way, right? And we will finish off exemptions because it needs time, and I want you to also do some Q&A. So tomorrow, what is the date? 29th. exemptions will be done. 30, 31 we have and 1. तो 30 को क्या कर देंगे अपन, सप्लाई सुबह कर देंगे, रजिस्ट्रेशन शाम को कर देंगे. And yes, on 31 we have returns. Anyway, been done. Yay! We should be done by 31. Okay. 2 तारीख को होने वाला था. We will be done with 31. Okay. डेबिट नोट क्रेडिट नोट कर देंगे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. धवल तू हिंदी में से भी जाके देख सकता है बेटा. ओके. डेबिट नोट क्रेडिट नोट कर लेंगे, चलो आज शाम को कर लेंगे. ओके. We will do it in the evening, guys. Okay. Thanks a lot, my dear friends. I hope you all liked it. Please like, subscribe, comment. Comment is जरूरी. Comment जरूरी है बेटा. Comment जरूरी है. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. 6:30 sharp. Okay. चलो. Bye निकिता. Bye दृष्टि. Bye अभिरामी. And ये कौन है भाई? Thenmozi. Who is this? Thenmozi. Where are you from, beta? Assam? Thenmozi, where are you from? Randomly entered in some Zoom meeting which she did not plan to clearly. Okay. दृष्टि पढ़ाई हो रही है क्या नहीं?
Yes, sir.
हाँ, कहाँ रहती है तू?
मुंबई, गोरेगांव.
गोरेगांव. You are in Borivali or Andheri?
बोरीवली.
Which November 22 or May 23?
May 23.
बोरीवली. Which morning batch या फिर वो इवनिंग वो आफ्टरनून वाला?
मॉर्निंग.
मॉर्निंग.
थर्ड बेंच पे बैठती थी.
होमवर्क नहीं करती थी तू?
हाँ, करती थी. मैं ओरल्स भी देती थी.
कहाँ दिक्कत आ गई फिर?
पनिशमेंट नहीं लिया सर.
नहीं, अच्छा दिया नहीं अब तक?
मैंने कभी पनिशमेंट नहीं लिया. मैंने
क्या बात है?
हमेशा लिया.
तो क्या दिक्कत आ गई टैक्स में? कितना आया तुझे?
टैक्स में मुझे 40 आया. एक्चुअली मैं कॉस्टिंग के पीछे गई. कॉस्टिंग में 25 आया.
कॉस्टिंग में कैसे 25 आया तुझे भाई?
सर
इतना?
एक्चुअली कॉस्टिंग पता नहीं, एग्जाम के जो 2 मंथ्स पहले करती थी ना, तभी हो ही नहीं रहा था. कुछ याद ही नहीं आ रहा था.
अच्छा, तो फिर तूने कॉल नहीं किया धवल सर को?
सर किया था.